let's talk about the timeline, okay? Because we all knew, and I think you and I even predicted on our upcoming 2025 predictions for the year that Warner Brothers would at least be starting the process of being sold to someone else, right?
Right, right. We absolutely did. And then they said no, we're not going to sell to a studio. We're not going to do that. We've got this plan. we're going to we have a lot of debt. And Zaslav doesn't like debt. So Zaslav and the guys and gals came up with this plan that we're just going to split into two separate companies. Warner Brothers and then another one where it's basically Discovery and the cable channels and all the TV stuff. Boom. And because Zaslav is Zaslav, he was going to saddle that company with all the debt. And Warner Brothers Pictures and HBO Max was going to be debt-free, baby. That was the plan. But then something changed. And we don't know why. All of a sudden, in December, they're like, well, wait a minute. Paramount has now merged with Skydance and they have a whole lot of money and they're talking about maybe wanting to buy us. Zaslav was like, no way. I don't like them. Nope. We're sticking to splitting into separate companies. That little war started. Okay. There was a little back and forth. Remember, guys, before December, Paramount made 3 separate offers to Warner Brothers Discovery, all of which Davey Boy said, no, we're not taking you. We don't want you. And then Ted Sarandos decides in early December, hey, guys, maybe I want to buy it. And so then we enter into December, right? And so what happens in December? The first week of December, we come out flying, right?
Yeah, it's kind of wild. Netflix submits and wins a bid to acquire Warner Brothers Discovery Studios and all of its streaming assets, excluding the Discovery Global stuff. Now, in this deal, it is worth about, like I said earlier, $82.7 billion enterprise value that was announced publicly on December 5th. And I mean, it only makes sense because if we go back a year, literally in December, the stock share was at $10. But
Yeah,
if you go back to April of 2025 of this year, it got as low as $7.69.
yeah,
That's absolutely wild. I'm surprised something didn't happen around that time, right? Because I mean,
absolutely.
I think though all of the entertainment industry wanted to see what Warner Brothers theatrical release slate was going to look like because we've talked about it before on this show that Warner Brothers really won the
No,
theatrical
they did.
box office in 2025. So I think all the studios were kind of feeling it out, see what was going to happen, and yeah, now everybody's like, yeah, let's take a part of this classic Hollywood studio that we all know and love, and hopefully can stay alive without resuscitation. But
Yeah.
it doesn't seem that way because I mean, and then leading into December 5th through the 8th, other things happened, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the deal went through, right? And at the deal, they slowly started giving out details. Okay, so what does the deal include? Well, it doesn't include, as I said, the Discovery channels, the cable channels, the cable networks and television stations that they own. Netflix didn't want that. Netflix strictly wanted Warner Brothers Pictures and everything that falls underneath Warner Brothers Pictures and HBO Max. So it does include HBO Max. It does include Warner Brothers Studios. It includes DC. It includes the massive franchise of libraries expected to include all kinds of your favorite stuff, like we said at the top of the show. Now, this is expected to close within a year or so, year and a half after regulatory approvals and the spinoff. Because if with this deal, the Discovery spinoff would still have to happen. It's just Warner Brothers wouldn't be its own company. It'll be folded into Netflix. Regulatory hurdles. That's going to be the tough one because there's already people in Congress saying, we're not going to let the FTC and the DOJ sign off on this because it would be a monopoly. Duh. Now, way back, like Logan said, way back when the stock had dropped down to like $7, I did say I thought it was ripe for a corporate takeover at that point. A hostile takeover where you don't have a choice. The stock is so low, some big raider's going to come in and they're going to wipe you out and take you over and sell you off for pieces. I was kind of right because Ellison, unhappy that he was turned down 3 times and then finding out through social media that Netflix had all of a sudden won the deal, well, he said, we have a shit ton of money and that stock's still pretty low. Corporate takeover. And so they launched a hostile takeover. And guys, this is insane. $108 billion all cash. And they want the whole enchilada. They don't want the spinoff. They want the cable networks. They want the cable channels. They want the television stations. They want Discovery. They want it all. $108 billion all cash. Why is that hostile? Well, the stock isn't $7 anymore, but it's still relatively low, and he's offering well above, almost $31 per share, which is well above what the value of the stock actually is. So it's pretty hard.
Currently sitting December 11th close. We're at $29.98.
There
but
you
that's
go.
Because of all of the talk and
Exactly.
takeovers.
And what he's doing is he's taking that straight to the shareholders, skipping Zasloff and the board, right? Because the shareholders, no matter what Zasloff and the board agree to, they have to vote yes on it. And when they see that significant amount of money, it's going to be hard for them to say no to that, or at least that's what David Ellison is hoping for. Zasloff still says no. He has. Let me explain this if you guys don't understand finances and laws and how it works. He has now a fiduciary duty, meaning he has to present that deal to the board and to the shareholders. He can't ignore it. He has to do it. He did. He says they'll have an answer on it within 10 to 18 days, which is leading us into the next couple of weeks before Christmas. He still wants Netflix. He says he's pretty sure Netflix is still going to be the winner. Ted Sarandos said, we expected Paramount to do a hostile bid. We're cool. We still got this. We know. I don't know, man. So that's that week, the last week, December 5th through the 8th. Coming into this week, what else do we got? Because hostile means hostile, right?
It does. Yeah. Even basically David Ellison is a kid in a candy store who isn't able to get his lollipop. Because freaking David Ellison has been texting David Zasloff and being left on red, where David Ellison is just like, please, it would be great to work with you, trying to chummy him up so he could kind of flip him to where he'd be able to back him when it goes to the board, but it's still not looking like it's going to go that way. Paramount escalates by sending letters to the Warner Brothers shareholders and rallying support against Netflix bid, like we were kind of just teasing a little bit. And they were also trying to imply, of course, the demise of theaters and what that was going to look like for the entertainment industry, which is all a valid point, not going to lie. And of course, political voices also weighed in on this thing. Trump has kind of been all over this, saying that he's met with David Ellison from Paramount Skydance and Ted Sarandos from Netflix, saying that they both come to his office and both had conversation. Basically, they weighed in about concerns surrounding CNN and the other competition that's going on. And it's very interesting, too, because we know how this political climate can be a little back and forth sometimes. Politics in general have been like that for the past decade, so don't get me wrong on any of that. But now, because we do know that Paramount and Larry Ellison and David Ellison have been chummy with Trump in the past, I have seen Trump come out recently saying that this new regime leading Paramount Skydance is just as bad as the old regime that was leading Paramount. So they must have done something wrong. I think CBS did an interview with
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That's what it was. They did an interview with someone that Trump didn't like. So now, of course, they're on his bad side, and so he's leaning more Netflix. So that's also very interesting. But It's kind of scary too because at the very beginning of this, I was very pro Paramount, but now like hearing where all of the Paramount money is coming from, it's kind of sketchy because I mean, Hollywood has kind of dipped its finger in a lot of Saudi money and, pro con whatever. It's kind of scary. I'm not gonna lie. I'm scared by it, but Paramount is getting some of their money from Saudi Arabia. So it's
They
like,
are.
what is that going to look like moving forward? Because, I mean, you talk about political control, but I mean, I don't know, man. It's a scary environment when you talk about, reporters getting killed for reporting on news stories. So it's weird, man. It's weird. And I mean, we've already seen like specific things get greenlit because of political regimes or specific things getting
Getting
canceled
canceled.
because of political regimes and like the entertainment industry is supposed to be the definition of free speech, the
Exactly.
imaginary storytelling, the reason behind just being entertained. It's not really supposed to like persuade you any which way. Of course, you're supposed to have a story that is supposed to be meaningful to the audience, but I feel like dude, we've talked about it before. The entertainment industry has become obsessed with telling political satire when in their storytelling to where like now the political regime wants to retaliate on that.
Right.
So it's kind of a very scary place
Well,
that we're in when it comes to storytelling in the entertainment industry.
and the thing is that Trump he publicly said he will be in on deciding who gets it. He is going to be a part of the decision. Guys, that's not even really legal. Like he should have no say in it's the FCC and the Department of Justice that decides antitrust laws. Is it a monopoly? Is it not a monopoly? Does it go through? Does it not go through? But we know that the FCC and the DOJ are in Trump's pocket, and they do what he says, as we've seen with him canceling shows he doesn't like or getting rid of. So when he says he will decide, that should terrify people. That should be like, that's why Ellison went there and said, hey, we're going to make drastic changes to CNN because we know you don't like CNN and we want it to be favorable to you. And then why Trump got mad when CBS did the interview with Marjorie, because Marjorie has flipped on Trump, if he didn't catch that news, and they gave her an interview that was very damaging to Trump. And he railed at Paramount saying, what the fuck? So I would bet sometime over the next week or so, we're going to see Ellison make another trip to the Oval Office to kiss the ring and say, sorry, we'll get rid of CBS too. And then it really surprised me, though, that Ted Sarandos took a private meeting in the Oval Office and started kissing the ring. I've lost so much respect for Ted over this last year. He has just really lost the shit since he took over as CEO. Reed Hastings, at least, had some Ted is just going bananas, and so
He's power hungry. I
he's
mean, we've
power
seen
hungry.
the
Yeah.
whole entertainment industry surrounding Netflix, what they're trying to do. I think all that they're trying to do right now is become stronger than anybody else in the entertainment industry. Obviously, you've won the streaming wars and you want to continue to grow, but at some certain point, there is a plateau, I feel like. You can't
Well,
grow anymore. Chill out. They put out this story a couple days ago this past week that they were considering buying EA Sports, Disney, all of
well,
these different companies that are just ridiculous. They're just continuing to try to build themselves up to a point where everybody's talking about Disney taking over the world, but
yeah.
no, it's Netflix trying to take over the world.
And Iger responded. Iger didn't come out directly and say, no, they never tried to buy us, but he winked, wink, nudge, nudge that Ted was full of shit, and then kind of threw his hat behind Paramount. He said, listen, if Netflix gets it and combines it, now I have to believe that Iger's saying this because he is also a little worried that it would then jump Netflix and HBO Max well above Disney Plus and Hulu. But he did say, hence, I'm going with Paramount, wink, wink, Trump, that if they were to combine those two streamers, they would dominate more than 45% of the world's streaming market and more than 60% of the US's. Now, guys, that is a monopoly. I mean, ding, 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 ding. That's a monopoly. You can't control more than half of the market. So obviously Iger is concerned, and rightfully so, but he's not the only one. They actually had, are you ready for this? Us, a person just like us, a consumer, a fan, somebody who loves movies, say, no. And he went to court and he has filed a lawsuit, an antitrust lawsuit against Netflix, saying that it would be unfair. They're going to jack up the prices. They're going to consolidate. They're going to force what you can watch and not watch. They're going to kill his movie theater chains. He went all in. I mean, he filed the lawsuit. And guys, I imagine that if this isn't tossed, then you are going to see massive amounts of consumers jump on this lawsuit and say, yep, we're right there. We ain't going to let this happen.